today, in this last message, repeat, I, without qualification, apologize for the pain and the hurt and the indignity and the damage that apartheid has done to black, brown, and Indians in South Africa. I do so not only in my capacity as the former leader of the National Party, but also as an individual. Allow me in this last message to share with you the fact that since the early 80s, my views changed completely. It was as if I had a conversion. And in my heart of hearts, realized that apartheid was wrong. I realized that we had arrived at a place which was morally unjustifiable.
Okay, let's now speak to Sipho Seepe, who's a political analyst in Durban. Sipho, FW de Klerk using that final message before he died to apologise, he says, for the pain and indignity apartheid caused. As a black South African, do you accept that?
Well, we have little choice but to accept it, and this is what people had been asking him to do for a number of years. One must also remember that it was sometime this year or last year where he was also forced to accept that apartheid was a crime against humanity, and he was unwilling. It was only when he realized that that is not going well that he ultimately accepted that, yes, I agree that apartheid was a crime against humanity. But in as much as we accept his apology, or some people will not accept it, but it is something that is welcome. It doesn't erase a number of issues. It doesn't erase the fact that a lot of people lost their lives during his reign as a president. He made claim that he was not directly involved, but as a head of an apartheid government, he bears that responsibility. But equally, we cannot take away the fact that he is also a person who was very instrumental in the transition that South Africa had gone through. It is unfortunate that even after the Nobel Prize, even as he says he went through some Damascus experience, he had not been seen to be very active in taking through that message of reconciliation by saying, yes, apartheid was wrong, but there should be also issues of reparations, that the injustice and inequalities that exist today are as a result of apartheid, and there's a need for rectification, and that should be rectified very fast. So the apology comes a bit too late, but it is something that one can accept, that all other people who benefit from apartheid could actually learn from de Klerk that apartheid was morally reprehensible, and that there should be reparations that should come as a result of that apology and acknowledgement.
Okay, so perhaps a lot of people are suggesting that he missed the chance to reconcile all South Africans because, of course, as you mentioned, the damage is still with you and many South Africans today. But, of course, there is no denying his vital role in the transition to democracy in South Africa. I'm just looking at messages from around the world, from other world leaders, past and present. De Klerk demonstrated great courage to end apartheid. He played a pivotal role in bringing democracy to South Africa. I mean, his legacy is a big one, isn't it?
No, it's definitely a big one. I mean, and it has to be acknowledged. But the issue, as your clip does indicate, that there was also another reason that was compelling, other than the moral reason. Apartheid was unworkable, and South Africa was ungovernable. And it was also in the interest of de Klerk to make sure that the future is shaped, because if he didn't play that part, the future would have been different and things would have been terrible for white South Africans. So he acted also from the perspective of self-interest. This is why after the Nobel Prize, we didn't see him going further than simply to say there's a transition. There was also a need to accept that there was a systemic underdevelopment, and there was also destruction of lives. There was a land that was taken away from black people. Even as we speak today, black people still occupy small pieces of land when the land that is vast is in the hands of white people. So we would have expected that if he talks about this level of rethinking this Damascus experience, it should have also said what are the damages that occurred as a result of the policy of apartheid, and how are we going to rectify that? But what he did was to be more concerned about the protecting the interests of white people. So that is where, unfortunately, he sold his own contribution that many of us had appreciated.
And what about now? Because de Klerk used his final message to also raise concerns over the future of South Africa. He said he's disappointed with the direction South Africa is heading in. Do you share similar concerns?
Yeah, I think if you look at the electoral outcomes, there are many people who are very concerned about the direction. And part of it is that 27 years later, we have not made changes that people had expected. In terms of the economy, black people still are on the margins in terms of issue of wealth, in terms of payment, in terms of discrimination. All those things are still there, but they find their expression in the day-to-day. So effectively, de Klerk is not the only one who's disappointed about it. Many black South Africans are also disappointed in the black government in the sense that it does not move very fast. But they're also disappointed in the white people in this country for failing to embrace the spirit of reconciliation, and also to say reconciliation does not mean that black people must reconcile with poverty, while white people reconcile with the wealth that they got because of apartheid system.
OK, Sipho Seepe, thank you for speaking to us on the death of FW de Klerk and also on the challenges that South Africa is still facing. Many thanks.